I've made so much progress as a human being about knowing myself and just in general just knowing a little bit more about how this thing they call life works, which is why I streamed and made that streaming session called "No One Is Going to Save You," because I know no one is going to save you. Whether or not I'm tired, nobody cares. You know, if I grew up poor, my mother is alive, my dad is dead. Nobody cares. My brother, etc., my sister. If I sleep on a cat, like if I live in Skid Row and I do fentanyl in the evening, nobody cares. Nobody cares how hard you grind, how many years, your circumstances, how hard you have it. Nobody wants to hear it. Like you're on your own, quite literally. You like people care about the results. I'm not saying they should care about you or care about your process, but in general, the the grind towards whatever you're trying to achieve, if it is success and that looks and sometimes that presents itself as glamorous, especially on social media, we are such fools. We are so easily fooled by the glamour that we see of people's lives and of what they present to us to be as truth. And most of the time it isn't true, and it's just a facade. It's just a scam. It's just a way to get you to buy into whatever they're selling. And in the same light, last night we were talking about how people have this sheeply mindset in that if for example, if I were to bot my streams and I get 10, 15, 20 people watching me live, it'll be so much easier for me to get a few more, like 5 real authentic people to stick around and watch, because they're thinking, oh, he got 20 people watching. Let me stick around and see what he's talking about. Instead, if I'm trying to be legit and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to grind it out, right? I'm just going to grind it out, put in the hard work, and then people will come. It's harder for you to build that. And they even say that people like Drake allegedly are botting and people like Kendrick allegedly are botting, but or Aiden Ross and the streamers are botting. So what? Like, they're all scamming, but at the end of the day, if the people want them to scam, or the people doesn't care if they scam because they only care about the amount of number they present to be true, how much litness they have, instead they don't care about authenticity. People don't really care about authenticity. If you are thinking like, I'm gonna be authentic and present myself as authentic, you have to be ready to lose. But for me personally, I am my mindset hasn't changed yet around that, and I personally value my authenticity. I don't think I will bot my streams. Like, if it's 2 people that watch me, fuck it, 2 people watch me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Instead of like trying to bot it and trying to look lit and whatnot. And some of the same things apply. We like to follow I don't want to say follow the leader, but we like to follow the crowd. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want to be part of the conversation. We want to be where everybody else is. And where everybody else is, is people who are presenting themselves as something that they are not. Like, presenting themselves as having X amount of money because they're selling you a course. Remember the days where Ty Lopez, here in my garage, and showing you my Lamborghini, and all these people that follow trying to sell you their courses, and they have all these Lambos. I'm not saying they don't have Lambos, but a lot of them rent a Lambo. And I'm not saying to rent a Lambo is cheap, okay? But it's a facade. They're selling you a lie. It's a con. It's a con job. Like, presenting yourself as something that you're not in order to fool the audience is cunning. There's no other way to put it. Like, but it has its advantages, I guess, because the audience doesn't care. Why does it matter if the audience doesn't care? But I think for me personally, it's just a lot of the things that I personally don't do, or I choose to stay away from or stray away from. I just want to be able to look at myself in the mirror. Like, but it's like if everybody's doing it and you are competing in that market, are you really competing? You know what I'm saying? Like if everybody is botting and you're the only one who isn't botting your stream, or you're the only one who's trying to do it, okay, authentically, you are putting yourself at disadvantage. You're not disadvantaged. You're not competing in that marketplace because the marketplace requires that you bot. The marketplace has everybody in it looking legit, looking real, looking with thousands of like viewers, and their chat is moving slow. You're not competing. You're simply not competing. So we have some more. I did the first stream about how everybody is scamming, like, and I went into the first part 1 into examples on who's scamming and how they are scamming and why they are scamming. There are legit reasons, and today we're gonna go into slightly a little bit more of that, of scams, of people scamming, and at a higher level, let's just say. Um, wow. I think first, we'll get it cracking like this. We'll get it popping like this. I am currently a college student. I am currently in university. Um, I am studying fintech. I am in my second year. Well, not really. I'm in my first year of the program, really. I've taken maybe 6 courses, 6 full courses for this program. So I have a degree in network and computers security, which is why I currently work as a system administrator at a financial institution. Um, so, you know, a lot of I hate to I don't like to talk about finances and all this and all that like an expert, because I haven't attained my degree yet to position myself as like expert in this area. But I do have knowledge in that area. I read, I research, I talk to the people who are expert, who hold all these Series 7s and all these different econ, master degrees and so forth and so on. And, the CFO of the company here, they're, when we hold these meetings and they share their perspective on the markets and things that are going on and their outlook for interest rates and so forth and so on. I am part of the conversation. I hear the conversation at a higher level than say somebody who isn't working in that kind of environment. So where am I going with this? I've made, it was by mistake. It wasn't like because I was some kind of genius kid. I've made the decision to go back to school to get a fintech degree, because for me personally, I see the return. I can see and visualize the return in my head. I quite honestly would be in debt, probably like $40,000-$50,000 in debt when I get that degree. Maybe 30. I am blessed because I understand that debt is the way they keep you, tied up forever and forever. My credit card debt is very low. I only have $2,000 in credit card debt. Other than that, I am debt free. My car is paid off. Well, I guess I do own a house as well, but I don't really count that as debt for real. I have a loan under my name, like a house loan, but otherwise, I don't owe no credit card companies anything. The car that I drive is paid off. I live life pretty simple, like Like I wear the same t-shirts, simple black tee, brown tee, white tee every day. I don't have the need for a lot of stuff. My most expensive things that I spend on is food. I mean, look at me, I'm fat. I love to eat, so that's my biggest expense. I think I'm getting off track a little bit, but anyways, I am back in school, and as you all know, the government started to garnish wages for student loans. And as you all know as well, that student loans are not, you are not able to declare bankruptcy and get them taken away. Although people have found creative ways to get around that, if they have good credit. But my opinion still stands, and what is my opinion? My opinion is that school going to school and getting a degree for somebody like myself, as you can tell by my accent, who grew up in another country, whose parents, didn't go to university. I don't have any wealth that nobody left for me. Like, I'm on my own, basically, type shit. Like, of course, I have people in my corner, but like, if I'm gonna make anything of myself, I'm on my own. Like, if it comes to buying a car, I have to dish that money out. Not that I'm looking for help. I'm just explaining something. Life looks different for people like myself, for people who grew up in this situation like myself, and then and that's just mean because I'm an immigrant. There are people who grew up in the United States who grew up very poor, with very little, as well. And statistically, going to school, going to university, getting a 4-year degree in a major is one of the quickest way to get yourself up and out of that situation. Statistically. I mean, nowadays it's not looking too good, too good for us. We're cooked. But I think in line of that, telling high school students that right after their 4 years in high school, going straight to a 4-year university is their best course of action. In my personal experience, in my personal opinion, that is a mistake. I think after you're done with high school, maybe you can get an associate's, or maybe you can go get some certifications, and maybe if you know somebody, get to work. Or go to like some kind of like, what do they call those other schools that's not university? A trade program. Go to a trade school. And that is my opinion. Why is that? Because I am slightly biased, because I am going to school after having experienced work. I've worked for 10 plus years in IT at this point. I started doing IT since I was in high school, really, like helping out in classes that we were taking, fixing computers and stuff like that. So I've had my fair share of experience. I've had the A+ since high school, and I'm an old man. Anyways, in that experience, having had that experience and being able to work for 10 plus years and learning more about myself, seeing what I'm actually good at in that field, increasing my knowledge, networking, switching jobs, learning different skills, learning different people. I'm also, I'm very social outside of, inside of work. I talk to people, get to know them. How did they get into their field? What would they do differently? What are they looking forward to? Just gathering data on what my next move is, or what the next thing is. And school is still good. The institution, it has its flaws like everything else, but I respect people. I respect academia, like, quite honestly. People who are PhD holders or master degree holders, those people, sure, they don't have a certain amount of street smart. They lack certain stuff, but the stuff that they know it pretty well. Especially like people who hold PhDs and do research. Those people are like the definition of nerds. They are very smart. They are brilliant people. And most of those people, they go straight out of college or straight out of high school into that degree program, or straight into university. But for me personally, my opinion is that for most people, you should get to work first, get to know yourself. What do you like? Because when you're 18 years old, man, you're so young, man. Like, but hindsight is 2025, I guess. Well, 2026 at this point. Hindsight is 2026. Like, you at 18, you're so young. You might think that's who you are and that's what you want to do. You're so passionate about X, Y, and Z. You don't know. Like, the person that I was when I was 18 years old is so very different to the person that I am now at 28. Like, you're gonna change. Your views are gonna change. Your friends are gonna change. Your circle's gonna change. How you move, how you stand, how you operate is gonna change. Your emotions, how you regulate your emotion is going to change. Your lifestyle is going to change. If hopefully you keep increasing your income, so forth and so on. I was very into car when I was younger. Now I'm not anymore. Like I passed so many cars where I was spending so much money on repairing cars and so forth and so on. I don't do that anymore because I understand why I shouldn't do that. If you are into cars, that's your business. I'm not here to preach to you what you should do and what you shouldn't do with your money and with your resources. But for me personally, it just wasn't worth it. I purchased a Lexus because I like Lexus. And I also understand that it's very reliable. I can own my car flat out. I don't pay nothing but insurance and gas and maintenance. The maintenance, I do it myself. So I keep my expenses very low. But let's get back into the school thing. For me personally, school is an investment right now that is worthy. I think even if I get out of school with $50,000 in loan, the amount of money I can make back, I think I can double my income or more than double my income after I get my degree personally. Because I've already done the research based on the experience that I have working at a financial institution, getting my degree in financial technology. I know once I graduate, I will be able to more than double my income. For me, it's an investment that makes sense. I can see the future value of the money that I'm spending right now. Although, interest and blah, blah, blah. So where is this going? If you are 18 years old, I don't know what you're trying to do. And this might not apply to most people, like everything else. Like, my path is different. Your path is going to be different. But I can only speak for my experience and for the things that I know. And what is that advice? Go outside. Get to work. Network. Get to know people. And I think that's one of the things I didn't do earlier is networking. Network. Like, being shy is okay, but you still have to network. You can be shy and network. Like, that's just one of the games you're going to have to play. Networking. At 18 years old, if you tell yourself like, okay, yes, I'm shy, but this is something that I'm gonna have to do. Get to know people. Get experience in different things. Not just the things that your parents want you to do or the things that you think that you're good at or you're okay at. Try things that you think you're not so good at. Or explore different avenues of the same things that you think that you're good at. And the more you learn, which is part of the Dunning-Kruger effect, the more you learn about a certain subject and the more you learn about yourself, the more you realize that you don't know anything for real. Even right now, I still have uncertainty. Even though I've done the research and I know that once I graduate, I will be able to get a job that will be able to multiply my income. And I'm even thinking about getting a master's degree, even though I know it's gonna be more debt. But my plan, I already have a plan. I plan on finishing my degree, getting a job that doubles my current income, live just like I'm living now, living like a bum. I'm gonna drive the same car, you know, I'm gonna wear the same clothes. Of course, I like to eat. I'm gonna continue eating good and eating at good restaurants, which is something I do. I enjoy traveling. I'll still enjoy maybe going on vacation to some random place twice a year or once a year. And my apartment, nothing fancy about it. You know what I'm saying? It's very old. It's one of those denty old apartments. The cheapest one that I could find. Just I guess my thing is just have a plan. Don't just the rule used to be that if you go to college and you go to university, you're just gonna come out and get a job. We all know that's not the truth anymore. We all know that's not the thing for it's been a while. And you're gonna get out of school with a whole bunch of debt. I feel like I have a flu. Like I was saying, I had a flu just now when I hopped on stream. I was feeling just fine before I hopped on stream. The student loan garnishing and them garnishing your wages, to me, that doesn't scare me because I already have a plan. That doesn't mean it's gonna work out. I could graduate and we're in World War III, the war breaks out, and and I still owe these people money if I survive. Somehow. which would be crazy if you think about it. That's just an example that things change. You can have a plan. The biggest mistake that you can make in life is to have a plan. And that include the possibilities of failures, where you can fail in that plan. I know I can fail. It is, there's a 25% chance in there that after I graduate, I don't get a job, or I don't get the amount. I'm sure I'll get a job. That I am always certain about. That I don't get the certain amount of money that I think that I command in the marketplace with my experience and this shiny bold paper. But still have a plan. Don't think I'm gonna just go to school, follow these curriculums, use AI to pass my classes, and you're gonna get out and you're gonna get, your 6-figure salary. I don't think it works like that anymore. My personal thing is experience. If you look at every single job description, they're asking you for 3 to 5 year experience of blah, blah, blah. And when you go to school, you're not getting that experience. You still have time. Like I'm 28 and I'm still in school right now. You don't have to wait like that. We all are in our own timeline. I'm just telling you, if you are younger, what mine is. And you could be way older. I know people who are in their 40s and still going to school. In 30s, still going to school, changing careers. In their 40s, 50s. It's okay. Like, life is all about continued improvement as long as you're alive, to me. And I know at some point in my life, I probably want to get a master's degree when it makes sense. After I'm done paying the debt that I that I take on for this degree, I will probably go back to school and get a master's degree, maybe. It's a gamble, but it's also a calculated gamble. This is all in regards to the loan, garnishing, payment, and so forth and so on. The game that the government is playing with, I would say with us, is very interesting. With school, every year school is guaranteed to increase because the wages of their staff is increasing. Of their staff, professors want more money. Technology in the classrooms needs to be replaced. Those Canvas platforms, the schools doesn't own them. I'm sure it's a private company and they are leasing it. Most schools now use Canvas to provide you with the online courses. I don't know how the book deals work if they're leasing out those books in order to have them in their schools, and that's another fee. Maintenance of the campuses, the staff, benefits. It's a whole bunch of calculations that goes into making sure that a university provides good education. And year over year, they have to increase how much money they're making. So it's a guarantee that school will keep going up and up unless the government steps in and do something about it. And that is likely not to happen. Not going to happen. Also, our loans being forgiven is likely not going to happen because the U.S. government is backing all these loans. And if they default on it, that means that the U.S. government would have to pay the trillions of dollars in student loans that exist out there. I think people have different opinions on this. And the millions of loan borrowers facing garnishment starting January 7th, I am sure that impacts a lot of people. Imagine, you get this fancy degree and you cannot find a job, you are underemployed, and then they're gonna take 15% out of your $25 an hour job, out of your $17 an hour job. How can you move out for real? How can you have a kid for real? All those things go into, the things that our generation currently face. It's like, it's harsh. It's really bad. Like, I don't know. There is, I recently saw this. I don't know how true it is. Take it with a grain of salt. And I think having experience will help you with this. Because if you have experience, you'll have time to build your credit, is one. You will have time to have a job, proof of income, that's two. And having those two things, you can apply for loans, business loans, form an LLC. So I seen this. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if, it might be the new meta. You go to school. Those loans cannot be forgiven. Once you get your degree, you graduate, you get an LLC. You get a loan from a bank and whatnot. You use the loan money to pay off your student loans, and then you declare bankruptcy on the private loan that you got. You can't repay it. I mean, you because you can declare bankruptcy on a private loan, just not your student loan. It's kind of genius. I don't know if it's legal or illegal. If that's you, that's you. Do it at your own risks. Sometimes when you do take private loans, I know that sometimes they tell you that you cannot repay certain stuff with that, and I think student loans is one of them. Actually, also I think credit cards is another one, and I know this because I work at a financial institution. I know. When you take like a private loan, sometimes they block you from using it towards certain stuff. You can only use it towards personal purchases, like if you're doing a remodel in your house, or I don't know, your car broke down and you need a new engine, stuff like that. So you might be violating the terms and conditions of your loan if you use it to repay student loans. But do it at your own risk. But that's something that I read. I just wanted to share that. But let's take a look at this video to learn more about the student loan garnishment that is happening starting January 7th, or should already have been happening.
Well, during the pandemic and for 12 months afterwards, borrowers didn't have to make payments on their student loans, and there was no wage garnishment or treasury offset of income tax refunds or Social Security benefits. And now that almost a year has passed since the restart of repayment, borrowers who are in default on their student loans are going to start seeing these enforced collection methods taking money out of their paycheck.
Can we quantify this, Mark? How many Americans are we talking about here that could potentially have their wages garnished?
Nearly 10 million. There are 3.4 million who have newly entered default on their student loans, and the rest have been already in default on the direct loan program and FFEL loan program on their student loans.
Who could have their wages garnished, Mark, and who cannot? What are the definitions, the lines here?
Well, if you have defaulted on your federal student loans, which means 270 days of non-payment, your loan is in default and enforced collections can occur. Normally, they would have a 30-day notice before the wage garnishment can occur, and you can ask for a hearing if you have experiencing financial hardship. The main categories of people who can't have their loans wage garnishment occur are it's just temporary. If you lost your job involuntarily, you can't have your wages garnished during the first 12 months of employment in a new job. If you have your loans discharged, say for a total and permanent disability, then your loans cannot be your wages cannot be garnished. And if you and there are a variety of other relatively esoteric, like if you file for bankruptcy, even though student loans are very difficult to discharge in bankruptcy, during the pendency of the bankruptcy hearings, the federal government cannot do enforced collections. And then once it's over, they can resume the wage garnishment.
How much can the government actually take, Mark, when we're talking about garnishing wages?
Okay, so wage garnishment can be up to 15% of the borrower's disposable pay, which is
That's the other thing too, man. Anyways,
their adjusted gross income minus amounts required by law to be withheld, such as for taxes, and they must be left with at least 30 times the federal minimum wage per week. Since the federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour, that means they have to be left with at least $217.50 each week.
So let me ask.
what are you gonna do with that kind of money? Like, what are you gonna do with $215? This is a joke. Like to me, this is like the biggest of all jokes, and you are expected to put. Let's say you're getting you are underemployed. You are expected to save in your 401k and invest money. You are expected to start a family, because at this point you're old enough. You should. Where's your family? You don't have a kid. Nowadays, that's a comeback for our generation. How people say, you go have a kid, and you both go live in squalor. Go do that. Like, I'm not stopping you. I've seen plenty of less to do people who ends up raising their kids well, and who end up scraping by and doing what they can. If that's you, okay, good. I'm not here to pass judgment or to tell you how to live your life. But for me personally, I don't think that's feasible. Like, you're getting 15% of your wages garnished right off the top. Like, you can even live life with, the full amount. And now, oh God, you got to give the government a 15%. And you got to put 10% away for your 401k. Most people have car payments. And the car payments are ridiculous, like $600, $700, $900 in car payments, which I don't freaking understand those type of payments. Plus insurance, depends on where you live. Insurance is through the roof. Like, that shit is becoming impossible for the younger generation. Like, but like I said, everybody's scamming. There's those, who just live life how they can. Who's gonna get it how they can. I'm not. That's the thing I hate to be. I hate people who think they know everything or they have all the answers. Like, I'm not gonna tell nobody how to live. If they think that's fitting for them, go ahead. Like, if they think scamming or robbing or whatever is how they're gonna get to where they're trying to go, shit, do you? Because, one day, if that's what you're doing, you might meet the wrong person and you gonna meet your maker. That is also a possibility. But we're more and more pushing people out of the conversation the more we do this kind of stuff. And what is the conversation like? Being able to do all these things that I was talking about, like having a family, living on your own, buying a house. Like, this shit is becoming impossible for most Americans and for most people my age. Like, It's a dream. You just think about those kind of things. It's a dream. Anyways, and I don't see it, and I don't think it's gonna get any better. It doesn't matter who the president is. It could be my dad, my uncle, my cousin. I might benefit from it, but the majority of y'all, you're not gonna benefit much. My family will benefit from it. If you catch my drift. But not y'all, not the population.
Mark, let's say I'm listening to this. I think, you know what, I could be in the crosshairs here. You know, I could be looking at having my wages garnished. What do I do, Mark? What's the game plan? What are some tips?
Well, so one thing you should do is update your contact information with the federal government on studentaid.gov and with your student loan servicer so that you'll get notices about your student loans. The federal government has to send that notice to the most recent known address. And if you've moved in the interim, you're not going to get that notice. But they can still garnish your wages because they have your social security number. You should prepare to reduce your spending to accommodate the wage garnishment. If you haven't yet defaulted, consider switching into an income-driven repayment plan, which will be your most affordable option. Or if you have temporary financial difficulty, you can do the economic hardship deferment or unemployment deferment, which will still exist for now. For new borrowers starting July 1st, those.
Well, you know what I think also is freaking ridiculous. I won't even. People like to blame the presidents. I won't even blame the president. The government. Let's just say the government is planning on raising the budget of the military again. I don't know to how much, because that's what's good for us. The U.S. government specifically, through a proposal by President Donald Trump in January 2026, plans a significant military budget increase of $1.5 trillion for fiscal year 2027, a 50% jump from 2026 levels. And, you know, we have people who can't afford to better themselves and get an education. We have people who can't afford to eat, quite literally. You know, we have people who can't have a family because they can't afford it. They can't afford childcare. They can't afford having a car, a reliable one. But, you know, we're spending $1.5 trillion in increase. I don't even know. That's not even the total. Total military budget for 2027. Oh, I think okay. Anyways, I think that the 1.5 trillion will be. The U.S. can't even pay its debt completely, and now we're raising the budget even more to 1. Anyways, the point is, this shit doesn't make any fucking sense. This shit will continue not make any fucking sense unless the people do something about it. And the people is just, we're so like, I don't want to say we, because I'm not part of this shit. Like I swear I'm not no martyr, man. Like, it's like, if we don't say enough of this shit, if we don't like be like, okay, I'm not gonna play this game anymore. I'm done. I'm done participating in this buffoonery. We're gonna keep suffering, unfortunately. Like, a lot of it is a game. Like, the government keeps spending more and more on frivolous shit that's not helping you and I. Yes, we need the military. Of course, I'm not naive. But we're spending 1.5 trillion. I don't remember the freaking statistics, but it's more than, let's take a look actually. It's more than most countries combined spend on their military. You know? For what? We don't really, the US is already strong militarily. Like, if a country attacked the US, they have to be like really, really dumb. Like, for real. Because at this point, if we go to war, it's not gonna be no pew 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 type of war. Especially not in the World War III type of thing. And not with the US. What a $1.5 trillion defense budget could mean for the Air Force, and Space Force. President Donald Trump took to social media this week to announce the Pentagon could see its budget top line increase to 1.5 trillion in fiscal 2027, a boost of more than 500 billion above estimated 2026 spending levels. This will allow us to build the dream military that we have long been entitled to, and more importantly, that will keep us safe and secure. We are already safe and secure. In fact, we could spend some of that money internally to make the U.S. safer here. First, we're not really defending against any foe, for real, in my opinion. We can better our cybersecurity posture, because I think the U.S. lack in that area. Trump said in January 7 posts on his Truth Social site, adding that the 50% increase will be paid for. Oh my God, shut the fuck up. The 50% increase will be paid for with tariff revenue. I don't even want to get into that. Like, if you know, you know, that is not true. You know, and also I'm not getting into the politics. This is pure economics. That's just not how it works. It doesn't work like that. The Air Force typically garners about 20% of the military's budget. If that portion remains consistent, the increase will be about 100 billion in 2027. Shit. Nowadays, what you gotta do is, for real, is join the military. If you're in debt, if you got, you know, student loans and whatnot, what they want you to do is join the military. Go get your head blown off just so you can get your student loans paid off, just so you can afford to eat, just so you can have a place to live, have a car that's reliable, be able to, you know, have a daughter, have a wife. You have to be willing to, you know, go fight in some war that you don't know why you're fighting, for what reason, and when we don't really have a conflict for real. You have to be okay with that. Like this to me it just doesn't make any sense. Instead of investing in, you know, our future, like we keep talking about, and investing in education. The U.S. is great because, you know, historically, we've invested a lot into, you know, entrepreneurial endeavors, in education, and research, and scientific research. You know, we have a lot of great advancement in technology. Why not invest more into those things? Nah, let's invest more into the military so we can go to war and kill more people, invade more countries. Those make more sense. We're so ass backwards, man. The world is so ass backwards. But then again, you know, like I said, the more you learn about how the world works, the more you realize you don't know anything. The U.S. might be doing that because it makes sense for the government to do that. It keeps them in power. It keeps the dollar strong. It keeps the other countries at bay. The other countries want to cooperate because they don't want the U.S. government to be on their bad side. They don't want the full force of the U.S. military hitting them on the face. Those are logical conclusions that, you know, for the U.S., it makes sense to continue increasing the spending in the military. Because, you know, being in power, holding power over other countries is a logical thing to do for the government when you're playing power games and, you know, there's a lot of things riding on you being number one. But for the people, I don't think it makes sense. For you and I, the regular folks, I don't think that's the best way to spend our money. But what do I know? I'm just some guy talking by himself at almost 2 a.m. to a camera. You come up to your own conclusions. But I think that's not the best way to spend the tax dollars that you are spending from money that you are earning that you barely see at the end of the day. You know, you work 40 hours and your check dwindles down to freaking nothing. You can barely eat a great lunch with it. and you're giving it to the government so they can spend on more warfare. That doesn't necessarily make your life better at home, unless you join the military and are willing to get your leg blown off. As a citizen, logically, that doesn't make sense. But as the government, sure, we can argue that. Sure. Meeting demand for space capabilities. The Space Force has the smallest budget share of all the military services. I forgot that shit existed. Around 30% of total Pentagon spending, or $26 billion in fiscal 2026. Though reconciliation increased that to about $40 billion. If its portion of $500 billion defense increase were proportionate, it would receive an additional $15 billion in 2027. You know what? Whatever. Whatever. Let's just go to war. Kill everything that ever exists on the planet. It would be more beneficial to us than spending it on education, than spending it on rehabbing the people who went to war for us. My brother is in the Air Force. Like, he's gotten injured for the Air Force. And I'm sure the government don't care. It's just gonna be rejected and swallowed and rejected at the other end. We preach this idea of like, oh, we love our veteran. Bullshit. Like, I mean, they do get disability, but for a lot of them, they can't, for at least from the stories that I hear, I'm not a veteran myself, so I cannot confirm this to be true. But from the stories that I hear and, news coverages and articles and statistics and whatnot, a lot of these people, when they come home from, war, which we know comes with PTSD, guess what? They have a lot of issues, and the government most of the time declined them the aid that they need to recover to a normal citizen life. And a lot of them turn to drugs, and a lot of them turn to the street, and a lot of them become homeless. I don't know exact numbers, but we could be using some of that $1 trillion to aid them instead of investing in more bombs and more missiles and shit like that. I think we could do that. I think that makes sense for our society to move forward. I don't think that makes us a weaker country. But I'm talking to the void. Honestly, these are just midnight thoughts. So I could be saying something. Also, I could be saying nothing. In other news, in other scamming news, I would say, this dude here, cool guy, Charlie. I fuck with Charlie. He's a great YouTuber. I don't think I need to give him a shout out. Penguin Zero. I don't think he needs a shout out from me. 12 hours ago, 1.4 million views. This guy, he is the definition of a chill dude. I watch him because, I don't know the guy. I don't think I have anything in common with him for real. Besides the fact that he is a multi-millionaire and he wears the same black t-shirt every day. I don't want to say the same one, but like he just wear a black t-shirt and he wear his Jesus hair. He doesn't care. Well, I can say he doesn't care. At least my perception of him is that of someone who doesn't care to flaunt that, he got a lot of money. I share that part with him. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can show off too, if that's you. And you can follow other people who shows off like they got money. Or who have the facade like they have a lot of money. Anyways, Trump phone. Of course, I know about the Trump phone situation that's going on. I've been watching, there's other videos that I watched about 6 months ago on this guy trying to call to sign up for the Trump phone, so forth and so on. But this video is new. Let's take a look at a little bit about what's going on with the Trump phone.
The golden Trump phone, supposed to come out 2025 of summer. So now the beginning of 2026, still no phone, still no pickles. And you might hear the little Banjo-Kazooie backing track right now to this video. It's because I'm on hold with Trump Mobile support to check on my pre-order to see what's gone so awry that the phone still hasn't arrived.
The Trump family's attempt to launch a new smartphone is off to a rough start. You may remember back in June, Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. announced the launch of a new American-made mobile phone along with a wireless service they called Trump Mobile. The release was originally slated to happen in August, but now it's November and people are still waiting.
I've tried to get a hold of Trump Mobile's customer support for a little while now, a couple days, to no avail. So now I'm just on hold waiting to see what's going on with it. Because, I mean, it's, you know, the Made in America, well, scratch that. They actually got rid of that. It's no longer Made in America. They don't claim that it's an American-made phone.
This shit makes no sense. Like, this Made in America shit makes no sense. Economically, we know that it doesn't make sense. Like, if you spent one day in one of these, like, stupid universities that you're gonna end up in a whole bunch of debt for, which I'm currently doing, like, I'm studying finance. I understand economics. Like, I have to take a whole bunch of economics class. I'm not gonna try to act like I'm holier than thou, and I'm not gonna give you an economics course. Actually, that's one of my weakest points, actually. I'm better at accounting. I am a better accountant than I am economist. I can't even say it properly. That should tell you all you need to know. I know enough about it because I take the courses. But I am a way better accountant and a business finance. I'm way better at those than I am at economics, which is very theoretical, at least in my opinion. But you know, some things are better produced elsewhere than at home. In case of phones, the labor is cheaper overseas than here, which is why you can afford this iPhone for $1,000. If this iPhone was made in the US, this phone would probably be damn near $5-6 grand. Because labor is way more expensive in the US. Not only is labor expensive, you gotta provide benefits. You gotta build manufacturers. You gotta pay taxes. So from the onset, I had a little tingling feeling, like Charlie would say, in my buttocks, in my butthole, my little tiny butthole, that this wasn't gonna see the day, daylight. Because as we know, and which is why this is called Everybody is Scamming, which is what part of this series is called literally Everybody is Scamming. Like, at the end of the day, everybody's looking out for their best interests. And we've seen it over and over that these people are not looking out for our best interests. Like, when somebody tells you something, don't believe them, straight up. Watch them do it first. My biggest mantra in life is everybody has mouth and say things. And even YouTubers, right? They make you all these promises and, they're gonna do the world and they're so good and they're so holy and etc., blah, blah, blah. Watch what they do, not what they say. But anyways, let's continue on.
Anymore. It's just a proudly American phone, according to their website now that they've updated. And for $500, it was a really, great deal, which defied all laws of physics and everything we knew about manufacturing to get a phone to that level. Every single human being on the planet with a functioning frontal lobe could have told you there's no way to make a $500 phone in America. So now they've abandoned that marketing mumbo-jumbo entirely. I thought I was about to get a hold of someone there, but that happens a lot. It starts to break up because there's only one song that they loop forever and they can't even do that smoothly. But anyway, I wanted to see what's going on with Trump Mobile, because the phone still hasn't been delivered. There's no signs of life. There's no pulse at that company, if the company even exists in the first place. I'm starting to get skeptical now. And I'll just keep you updated as I continue to stay on hold endlessly in this fucking void, this purgatory that they've locked me in here. All right, let's try again. Yesterday they were closed, so this is right in business hours and business time.
Thank you for calling Trump Mobile. For English, press 1. Para español, oprima el número 2. Press 1 to open a new Trump Mobile account. Otherwise, press 2 for support with an existing Trump Mobile account. Thank you for calling Trump Mobile. Your call is very important to us. To ensure the highest level of customer, w.trumpmobile.com.
I'll be more than happy to go ahead and assist you, ma'am. Please have the telephone number your account is under.
Now, interestingly enough, I gave them a bunch of phony baloney information. Like, the email and phone number I gave them are not associated with any Trump phone or Trump mobile pre-orders, yet somehow they found my account. I don't understand how, because it's not.
I wonder who, like, that's the thing with owning companies. When you own an LLC, I wonder who's the registered agent of that company. Like, is it Donald Trump himself? Because I mean, he could have licensed his name, brand, and likeness to a company to brand the phone as Trump phone, even though his name is not directly linked to the LLC. And he could sign a contract where he very easily could skate away unscathed by this being a scam. If it is a scam, allegedly, if it is a scam, right? There are things like that exist, and I'm not saying the Mr. President, my God, Monseigneur Jesus Christ, has anything to do with this, right? But his name is involved in it. We're going to have to assume this is his product. I think that's like, we use that word a lot, unprecedented, that a president, current sitting president, besides Nixon, is involved in a product that is a scam. That is insane. That is absolutely ludicrous.
Registered under anything I provided, but just in case that does end up being someone's actual phone number, I'm not going to put that clip in here. But what I gave them is not tied to a pre-order because, shocker, I didn't put $100 down on the Trump phone, but somehow they were able to locate my account.
So, due to the government shutdown, there were some delays with the delivery process. Everyone who pre-ordered the T1 phone has secured their order for the phone. So what we're doing is that we are sending out the phones priority shipping. Soon as shipment resumes, everyone who did pre-order the phone will receive a confirmation email once the phones have been shipped out.
Okay, wait. It was supposed to come out in the summer, though. That was before the government shut down. I thought there was just some kind of...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I was expecting it in the summer of 2025, when the shutdown wasn't till after that. I guess I'm just a little confused on how that affected the manufacturing.
Well, the phone was scheduled to come out in December, which is around the time that the government shutdown did happen. And like I said, the reason why it was delays on it was because we needed to get the approval from the FCC, Federal Communications Commission, before releasing the phones. And so that's why we are doing priority shipping to get the phones out to the customers as soon as possible.
Is there a time I should be expecting it? Like, is there an ETA?
As of right now, we don't have an exact time frame. We were just told just to update the customers. Once shipment resumes, we will be communicating with all of our customers via email.
Okay, well, but sorry for the skepticism. I'm just getting a little concerned because it's been a while. The phone is real, though, right? You've held one?
Honestly, myself, I have not actually held one in my hands, but they are real. You can also go to our website at trumpmobile.com, and like I said, it does have all the information about the phone as well.
Well, yeah, I see it on the site. It's just me and my family we were kind of expecting it by now. Do you know anyone that has held one? Like, do you know anyone that's using one currently or anything like that?
I'm going to be honest with you. No, because like I said, everyone.
I mean, say what you want, but I think he pretty much answered it. The Trump phone doesn't exist. The people who are the support calls that Charlie called have never seen the Trump phone alive. Will the phone come out eventually? Maybe. Will this phone be American made? No, bruh. Like, a $500 phone made in the US is like, unless you yourself is fabricating it, you yourself, got you are the sweatshop and you are, putting each part, designing, printing, soldering every part by yourself. It's damn near impossible.
Like I said, pre-ordered the phone, has not gotten their phones as of yet. So from my knowledge that I know of, no one has received their T1 phone as of yet. And we know, like I said, the customers haven't, been waiting on it. And we do value our customers. And like I said, that's why we are trying to, expedite the process to get the phones out as soon as possible.
Okay, well, I appreciate the honesty. I guess I'll just sit tight then until I get that email. I really appreciated how honest this guy was. It would have been super easy to say, oh yeah, I'm actually holding a Trump phone right now. But he didn't amount of money. $100 for a phone that was supposed to ship like 5, almost 6 months ago now. And when you go to the website, they still proudly say that it's coming out by the end of the year, which was 2025. That year is now past. That year's in the books now. It's done and dusted. And they still have it on their website that if you're pre-ordering now, you are going to be getting it by the end of the year. 2025 is the assumption because it's been there since 2025. It's pretty absurd. In fact, when you go to their website, you can still put the $100 down to this day, despite there being no evidence of the phone's existence, not even from customer support. You can still put $100 to the idea of the golden Trump phone, despite no planned or expected release date.
I think that's the other thing too. When they say golden Trump phone, you know, I always wondered, like, is it gold plated? Because you know, gold plated can be gold, but is it like just color of gold? Why does everything has to be gold with Trump? What's his obsession with gold?
American flag on the back, and so we put that pre-order, and they were promising that these phones would be released in August. Here we are in November. I've been trying to get out to the call center every few weeks and say, hey, what's the update? And I've been perpetually told it's going to be released at the end of this month. It's going to come out next month. When I would ask about reasons for the delay, they didn't have much to answer for except for that they were working on this phone. At one point, they even blamed it on the government shutdown, interestingly. But again,
his findings are similar to mine. The support did say it's because of the government shutdown. I guess a very convenient excuse if you ignore the fact that it was supposed to come out before the government shutdown. Support then, of course, just doing his job. It's not like I blame him or anything. It's saying, no, it's actually supposed to come out in December, which isn't really the case. But even then, it's past December and everything like that. The government shutdown, it's in the past now. Where's the phone? It's January. This segment was from November. Like, it just doesn't seem like it's real. It doesn't seem like it actually exists. And I think a lot of people that put the $100 down have probably forgotten they've done that. They probably forgot that Trump even has this Trump phone that he pitched because he is hawking so many products to enrich himself and his family. He has like actually over 200 like fucking pieces of merch, the Trump cologne, the Trump Bible. Like, he has so much garbage that he's putting out there that a lot of things like this just fall through the cracks and people just mindlessly giving him money. They probably forgot about this. But you still haven't received what you were supposed to with your $100 down. You have still not got.
But I feel like I have the same sentiment that I shared in my Jake Paul, Logan Paul scamming scheme video. Like, if you're getting scammed by this and you see this dude like your Lord and Savior and this and that, I'm not trying to be blasphemous for those who believe. If you believe in everything that any man says, you need help. Like, and I keep reinforcing this over and over. Like, and I know politically, people, whenever you talk about Trump, people butthole get hurt. But you have to be able to question everyone. You have to be able to question reality. And I don't care if it's freaking Barack Obama, because I know I'm black, and that's gonna be the first thing people attribute to. Like, I don't care who it is. It could be my own mother. I question my mom. Like, I don't have to believe everything that people say. You don't have to believe everything that Trump says. You are allowed to question the government. At this point, he is in public service. He is in public service. He is not a private citizen anymore. Well, at least not at this very moment. He's not a private citizen. And everything that he's saying and all these products that he is selling, which I'm not saying he's not allowed to do. I don't know the law around that. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. But you don't have to purchase everything this man, everything. You don't have to suck on his, for everything. You know what I'm saying? Some people just, but also, the U.S., although we're known for having higher education, we do have a large majority of the population who, fortunately and unfortunately, are just not there. You know what I'm saying? There are different levels of education and different level of smarts who just don't have either of those things, like street smarts, book smarts, smarts in general. They just don't have it, which is insane.
Any information on where your Trump phone is. That should be something that's pretty eye-opening to a lot of people, but I'm sure they'll just hand-wave it. No, it's so highly advanced and such powerful American-made technology here that it's just taking a little extra time, which is why they can't actually explain anything. That's what's going on here. When the reality is, they can't make that phone for what they were saying. Like, you could probably go to Temu and start drop shipping a golden Trump phone, I guess, but their initial claims were that it was American-made, and even on their website, they still have like the.
I think. Yes, Charlie is making a good point that yes, they can't make it for that price. But also, you know how much technology goes into a phone. You don't just announce a phone and make the phone overnight. Like, depends on what operating system they're gonna use, which most likely be Android based, and I think they're probably gonna make their own flavor of it. If they are they going to develop their own hardware to make it unique somehow? Or are they just going to take some crap from Alibaba, put some gold plating on it, load some existing Android operating system on there, change a few keywords like Trump phone? Because you know how long it takes Apple, and they already have all these infrastructures every year to come out with a phone that looks exactly like the last one. It takes time, and you don't have, from my knowledge, and if this is a new company, like I said, it might just be white labeled. It might just be a branding rights just to use Trump's name. He might have gotten a few $1,000,000, 150 million, 50 million, 200 million, just to use his name. That could be the reality of the Trump phone. I don't know that to be true. I'm just speculating. You know? And if it's a brand new company having to do everything from point zero all the way to release date, it's a lot of work. And I'm sure he got investments and backing, but it's still very expensive to come out with a phone.
The nomenclature that tries to mislead people into thinking it's American made by saying it touches American hands during production as opposed to being entirely American made, because you cannot make that here for that price. You can't. You literally cannot. So it is going to be probably made in China, and if it ever comes out, will not be what it was advertised as, if it ever comes out at all.
Even a phone being made in the U.S., do we know? And I know you've been looking at their website and noting that there are some changes there.
Yeah, so again, this was branded as a made in the USA phone. In fact, they said so on their website. But interestingly, as I've been trying to follow the development of this phone, they tweaked the wording on their website, and now the mention of the made in the USA is completely scrubbed. You can see the original image on the top there. It says in that text, made in the USA T1 phone, and now all it says is, you want to be the first one with a new T1? Here's how. Elsewhere on the website, they describe it as an American proud design.
January 2026 checking in, it's still in that state. They are, like I said, trying to wash away that initial claim of being like entirely made in the US, because, as he goes on to mention, it's just not technically possible to make that kind of device in the States here at that price point and at that development timeline. It's just not possible, which is why it's no longer there. But the phone still doesn't exist, so they're still, I don't know, having a hard time developing it overseas too. I thought for sure they would have just farted out something very quick from like Alibaba and called it the Trump one, just to like satisfy the people that gave him money, which is no doubt a lot of people. I think it was hundreds of thousands of people pre-ordered the Trump one, like the Trump phone. And they are still getting nothing. There's still nothing there with no answers and no expectation on when it's arriving. So just wanted to give you a little check-in here in case you forgot about the Trump phone. It's not looking good. I'm sorry to tell you, sports fans, but it's looking like you got schmeckeldorfed. That's really about it. So,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, pretty much. Like, well, I mean, what do you expect though? I think a lot of people kind of know what the deal is, but they still go along with it anyways. You know? They still go along with it anyways because they just want to suck up to Trump for whatever reason, which is also a bizarre thing. But you know, this is not a political channel and whatnot. But I just like to talk about common sense. I just like to talk about common sense. I like to try to apply my own logic to things and try to make things make sense. And a lot of it doesn't make sense. And I think I try, when I speak to other people of the same age as I try to influence them to think independently, question shit, like, question everything. You can have your own beliefs. Like, you can believe whatever. You can be whatever side you're on, but still you are allowed to question them. You don't have to buy everything that they tell you. And sometimes we don't have all the information, and it's okay to say, I've not arrived at a decision. I've not arrived. My opinion is not made completely to, and you are allowed to change your opinion. My personal opinion have changed over time a lot. And I'm allowed to do that. I'm not going to go to jail for changing my opinion. I was of the opinion that Trump, if elected president, if he did everything that he promised, that the next few presidents were going to be Republican. Now, I am not of that opinion anymore. I think the next president will likely Blah, it's getting late. It's 2 a.m. and my English is not Englishing. The next president will likely be a Democrat because of how the current administration is functioning. You can have your own opinion that it's functioning great, good, but it is my opinion that the next president will be a Democrat. But also, here is something that you should think about in lines of thinking, if we're talking about thinking. Recently, Mr. Trump said that, I guess the terms that people are using is declare war on the housing market for whatever reason. And that he wants to ban big investors from buying homes. And I want you to take a minute. Take a few seconds. As a logical person that you are, take a few seconds to think about this. What is Donald Trump's primary source of his wealth? It's real estate. He is that big investor that he is trying to. We can talk about all the economics that goes around housing. We could do that. We could talk about how it's the largest wealth building asset in America for most households. Yes, we could talk about that. We could talk about how it supports millions of jobs in the United States of America. You know, people who build homes, people who do carpeting, flooring, roofing, banks, which I work at a financial institution. It supports my job. Housing supports my job, like mortgages support my job. We could talk about all of that. We could talk about the economy, like the economics of the loans, even the credit card thing that he said a few days ago. Like he thinks about putting a 10% cap on credit cards. We could talk about all that. We could talk about the impact, but and specifically for housing, why would a big real estate investor like Trump, which I am certain his buddies, the people who invested in him, are likely invested in the are likely invested in real estate. Even the people, let me see, even the people who invested in him are involved in some of those type of industries. His third biggest investment came from securities and investments. Why would Donald Trump stop the people who donated $246 million to him? And I've not seen anyone discuss this before. This is my own thoughts. Why would he stop those people from investing in the market, which is how they make their money? Why would he do that? Just to help the American people when his promise was to help them, and he hasn't done that. Everything so far he's done is benefits. We could argue that it benefits more of the people that are in his class, the rich people. I know the midterms are coming up, and people are looking for votes and so forth and so on. People are making promises, just to gather those votes and just to make sure that they can win a few states. Because shits is looking grim out here. I just have questions, mostly. I don't have the answers. I mostly have questions. Why would somebody who is a billionaire from real estate, mind you, maybe Trump has other businesses that I'm not aware of, but from what I know, most of his wealth is in real estate. He is that big investor that he is trying to stop from investing in real estate. You know, maybe we're talking about like single family homes and so forth and so on. That is a different, you know, you can categorize it differently than building a portfolio of hotels and, you know, resort homes. Sure, we could talk about that. But securities and investments in general, his biggest donors, like I keep saying, these people have people in their ears telling them how to move and what to do and what laws they support. 246 million is not donated just because they're good friends. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's expecting a return on their investments. Oh, I was blocking it. That's just pure finance. People who are in securities and investment, they understand finance. They understand the, you know, time value money. They understand if they're spending money today, it better be worth 400 million tomorrow. This is not you and I who know who's gonna give a friend $10 and just say, it's okay, bro, it's $10. Nah. Why would Trump do that? Like he's so good-hearted. Like he's such a good-hearted man. He is looking out for the best interests of the American people. He must be. I don't know what the play here is. My point is, like I keep saying, life is a game. What game is he playing with this announcement? Even with the 10%, that shit came out of fucking nowhere. That 10% credit card cap came out of nowhere. Why? Would it help Americans? Yes. But his donors would not benefit from that. The economy, I keep saying that, econ, the macroeconomics of the country would not benefit from him capping credit card spending, not spending credit card interest at 10%. It just doesn't make any sense. The banks never lose money. Trust me on that. Interest income makes majority of the banks, income, because when they give you out a loan and when you are doing spending on your credit card, the amount you are paid in interest, they use that income to pay their employees, to make investment into, to grow the portfolio of the bank, to make out loans. The bank is not gonna lose on that sweet interest. Yeah, you can cap it at 10%, but guess what? They're gonna find another way, They're gonna find another way to get some of that money out of you. Sure, do that 10%. Maybe now when you applying for a credit card, there's some new, because finance is always working. Finance is never sleeping. The dollar is always looking for more interest. The dollar is always looking for more money, for more dollars. Basic finance principle. The dollar is gonna go wherever it's earning the most. You cap it at 10%, they're gonna find a new way. Maybe it's less rewards. Maybe every card now that you get becomes you gotta pay monthly just to get that card. Start giving people less and less money, available credit. There are so many ways. I'm just saying there are so many ways. And the benefit, because the system is already too far gone, man. It's already too far gone. Like, you can't, I know it's for a year, but a lot could happen in a year. If the bank interest income diminishes, which it would, right? Just from its credit card portfolio, it has to make that money from somewhere else. Because the bank doesn't want to lose money. They want to keep their revenue increasing and their profit increasing year over year. I'm not saying it's right, but that's just the thinking of people who work in finance. Anyways, I think my line of thinking is just that maybe there is something that we don't see. And there quite literally there is trillions of dollars in mortgages out there. We can even talk about how income in the United States have increased from 2000 to 2022. 78% is the number. We could also talk about home prices and how it has increased 170%. The income is not keeping up with the home prices. And it's like, why now? Is there a game that's being played that we don't see? And also it's a promise. It's not an act yet. It's just a thing that is, oh, we're gonna do that. And I think as the people should already have had enough of this. We should come to a point to where we have enough of the words. Where's the action? Which is what I've been preaching forever. When people say something, if even you watching this, you have the ability, you have the brain, you have the capacity, you have the right to question, you have the right to change your opinion. You have the right to say no. I don't believe you. Until you actually perform an action behind that. Will this benefit me? Yes. Limiting the amount of people, limiting the amount of, big Wall Street investors who are just jacking up prices, which we saw over the during the pandemic. There, especially in Florida. I'm from Florida. They were making ridiculous amount of offers on houses. $500,000 for a house that was just worth $200,000. They're jacking the prices of the homes. They're pricing out people like you and I from buying housing. Especially, young Gen Zers and millennials. We are getting priced out. Will that benefit from this? Yes. But in reality, Trump is a real estate investor. Is he gonna do something like this to benefit you and I? Come on, bro. Be for real. Be for real. Be for real. I personally don't believe it, but if it does happen, sure, it could be good. But the banks won't let this happen because this happening means that the bank gets less money. Anyways, I think I think I've beat this to a pulp already. I think I beat this to a pulp. But I guess we can watch a little bit into the news. Although I didn't even play any of it.
Welcome back to ABC News Live Report. In our spotlight tonight, President Trump is threatening to ban institutional investors from buying single-family homes. Trump is arguing that corporate real estate ownership is driving up housing prices for Americans. But critics say large investors own just 1% to 3% of single-family homes across the U.S. And others say the government needs to do more to improve affordability for first-time home buyers. According to the National Association of Realtors, the median price of an existing home in the U.S. now tops $400,000, with mortgage rates near 6%. So for more on this,
that's the same thing too. This is the other thing. Be smart, man. A $500,000 3-bedroom house, it doesn't matter what the freaking rates are. The rates could be 2%. That's still a $500,000 house for a 2-bedroom apartment. If the house is overpriced, the house is overpriced. It doesn't matter what the rate is. I mean, the rate does matter over time. Of course, the rate does matter, but you are overpaying for a 2-bedroom apartment. That's literally $500,000. The numbers just aren't making sense. If housing right now is just unreachable for a lot of people, the amount of money you have to put down on a $500,000 house is just more and more and more and more and more. People are not making that much money to save enough money, especially student loans. Especially if they're taking 15% of your wages off top, garnishing 15% off top of your wages. How are you gonna save enough money to put down for a $500,000 house or a $500,000 apartment if they're already taking 15% of your wages? Our generation is cooked. Like, we have no choice. We have no way out.
I want to bring in senior economist at Realtor.com, Jake Krimmel. He joins me now. Jake, thank you for your time. But listen, the president's statements come amid an affordability crisis for first-time home buyers. I'm curious, how could this change the current market?
Well, I think unfortunately this policy proposal in and of itself is not really going to move the needle very much for first-time home buyers or for the market in general. And the big question here is: are large-scale institutional investors crowding out prospective home buyers? Are they the reason for our housing shortage and for the affordability crisis? And the answer is no. And so
that's the other thing too. Like, the supply in the market is very low. Like, currently, I am even though I have mortgage on my name and whatnot, like, I move out of state. I am renting, and the rent prices are ridiculous for the crap that you see. Like, I live in the middle of nowhere. Like, first of all, I live all the way up north. I moved from Florida all the way north. Live in the middle of fucking nowhere. The housing, like, for a 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom, $1,500. The kitchen is a mess. Like the kitchen is those white stoves, those white burner stoves, like the electric coil stuff, the white fridge, you know what I'm talking about. Like, really busted place, $1,500. We don't have enough supply on the market. Like, homes are not being built fast enough, like quality homes. And even the ones that are being built, they're being like shoddy work. Anyways, man, there's more problems than that. I think it's a good move. Could it be a good move? Yes, but I don't think it's the biggest problem.
although these trends of institutional investors, they grab headlines, large corporate ownership, it does sound very spooky, but it's a bit of a red herring when it comes to the broader supply and affordability debate.
Well, and listen, I mean, we hear those stats about large investors being 1% to 3%, but also, that 1% to 3% might be concentrated in a major market like in Atlanta or one of these other metropolitans. So, is it possible that, maybe not overall there's an impact, but certainly you could see it regionally?
Yeah, I think there is some nuance to be discussed here, and you're right to bring up those Sunbelt markets. Atlanta and Charlotte, I think, for example, are some of the two of the markets where institutional investor activity has historically been quite high. However, in those Sunbelt markets in particular right now, what we're seeing is the markets are already quite soft, and inventory has been growing there in the existing home and new home markets already. So on one hand, the markets there are moving in the right direction as far as affordability, as far as becoming more buyer friendly. But even so, we haven't seen prices come down all that much. I think things are moving in the right direction in those markets, but I think that's largely due to the regular market forces as opposed to institutional investor activity.
Well, and we have a lot of finger pointing in this affordability debate, but I'm curious, I mean, in your estimation, what really is the major factor when it comes to housing shortages?
I think from a housing economist, this is no surprise that it's going to come down to supply, housing shortages, and the inability to build new homes at large scale en masse in areas where folks want to live. And so that's, again, no easy, it's a big endemic problem, and there's no silver bullet solving it. It's going to be something that unravels.
Maybe, just maybe, that 1.5 trillion we're adding, the 500 billion we're adding into the military budget, maybe we could use that to build more homes. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if the government, maybe they could lend out loans for new people who are interested in building, and building their first home. Make it more accessible. Because supply is a thing, like supply and demand, like that's very basic. Again, I don't have all the answers on how to make it better. And even my proposal might not be the best. I'm sure you could argue against that. Like, why would the government subsidize that? I mean, they subsidize our education and make it so that we can not declare bankruptcy on it and then garnish our wages when we're not even getting paid enough. Anyways. I think you get the gist. That everybody is scamming. Everybody has another agenda, and also everybody is reacting to Mr. Powell. He looks like he's having a very bad day. He released this video.
Good evening. On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned, in part, a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings. I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike. In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with integrity and a commitment to serving the American people. Thank you.
I mean, this is not political, because Jerome Powell, if you know anything about him, he is Republican to begin with. His party he's part of the Republican Party. He was appointed by Trump and Obama as well. Everybody's favorite little fact is that the Federal Reserve is independent of the government, although it has of the federal government, although it has Federal Reserve in its name. But I mean, that's on purpose, because the presidents are trying to control rates. Historically, they want lower rates, because lower rates stimulates the market, because borrowing money becomes cheaper the lower the rates are. And the more money people can borrow, the more investments they're able to make. They're hire more people, go out to do more projects, companies do. People may maybe go buy a new car. It just stimulates the market. It makes things grow. It booms the economy. Which is why, Trump is vying for, I don't think you could see that, appointed by Trump. Which is why Trump is trying to get it to go lower. Shit, he could keep it at 0 if he could. But, that's why these dudes, the Federal Reserve, that's why they're there. And then it's not just Jerome Powell making all the decisions by himself. They have a board. Just like you have a board of directors. They take votes on what they do with the rates. And I'm sure these dudes are, PhD holders. In fact, one of the things that people have against Jerome Powell is that he is the first chair of the Federal Reserve that doesn't hold a PhD, a research in econ. Let me see. Should be a fact in here somewhere. Yeah, notable for his lack of a PhD as Fed chair. As the first Fed chair in 40 years to lack a PhD, Powell has come under fire for his lack of background in economics research. Like these people, they're smart. You know what I'm saying? People who have PhDs, PhD is not just a degree. You know what I'm saying? You have to have conducted some kind of research and present it. These dudes, they're smart. They know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? They're not just yapping and just to yap like me. They're not yappers. You know what I'm saying? They're researchers. They're scientists. Anyways, we'll see where that goes. I don't think this will go as planned. And as far as the government conducting an investigation into Powell, of course they should if he is doing anything that is actually criminal. That's what the rule of law is there for. That's why we have laws, right? If somebody is doing something that's not right, we should investigate them. We should send them to jail. But if we're doing it just for like political points, or we're doing it because I said so, that's not what democracy is about. That's what I thought. At least last time they did. They were trying to lie to us. That's what they told us. It was for the people, by the people, blah, 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 blah. You get the point. Anyways, I think that's it for me tonight. It's 2:30 in the morning. I will wait for you, no matter what it is. Anyways, I think I'm going to call it time here. Go to bed so I could go to work and earn my paycheck, I guess. Thank you for watching, as always. Peace.